Hey everyone, Dwayne Cotton here, and I'm with my lovely business partner and wife, Becky.
Hi.
First time.
First time.
How you like it?
That's great.
So, Becky and I were talking about business. We're in business together. She owns a couple businesses, and so do I, and together we're married and we're at some point business partners. We were talking, and we mentioned on this channel a lot of times you want to take your one thing, your business that you have now. And the first goal is to get you profitable if you're not. Now, even if you're profitable by a few thousand a year, that's not really good, right? That's a job with a lot of responsibility. We want to get you to where you're able to put a lot of money and help you with what we've done, kind of show you what we've done, which will ultimately help you. But the idea is first grow the business to the point that you become profitable. And it might not be growing in size as far as employees, but growing in value, growing in structure, and maybe it is growing with your employees as well. Get you to the point that you have money left over at the end of the year so you can turn around and reinvest that into something that is passive or reoccurring income that makes money when you're sleeping. We were talking, the best benefit is rental property. So when we have a net few dollars to spend at the end of the year, we want to leverage that money. We want to put that money in real estate, okay? Because now I can buy basically a property. I'm going to use debt to buy the property for the mortgage, but we take that little bit of money and we invest it into the property, whether it be in anything down for the mortgage or repairs and whatever it takes. Get tenants in the property, refinance it, get all of our money back, and then go do it again. And so really you can take a couple really good years in business and we can show you how to turn that into a pot of money that you can go out and buy properties, rehab, rent, and then get your money back. That's called the BRRRR method. And a lot of people do that.
And not to mention, there are tax benefits to it.
Right. So there's a few different ways. Help me out in case I forget something. There's a few different ways that your tenants are helping you to create wealth. One is the rent is covering, and you should have a positive cash flow. I think 1% is a minimum, maybe 2%. And the reason why I say I think, it just depends on the property. If the property is a lot newer, less maintenance with the house, you could, if you're in a competitive market and you have to do a deal, you could get it for 1%. As far as 1% positive cash flow. If it's an older home and you haven't totally renovated the house and you're expecting some problems, you may want to be closer to that 2% to help cover some of those unexpected costs. But your tenants are paying rent, then that rent check is paying the mortgage, which covers the taxes, or some states you have to pay them yourself, but either way, the taxes are paid out of it. You're getting a little bit of positive cash flow. Their rent is actually paying down the mortgage, which is creating equity for you. Then there's the tax benefits that Becky talked about.
And the tax benefits would be your interest on the loan, as well as any repairs throughout the year that you make that are not considered capital improvements, and your interest that is tied in with the loan. You do get to deduct that.
And that's depreciation, right?
Well, depreciation is separate.
Okay.
And in addition to depreciation.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So we have the appreciation, and then you have, hopefully you're in an area that is appreciating. So now we're getting a few different things going on. We're getting the principal paid down by the tenant. We have positive cash flow come in to help cover some of the stuff that you're going to need to deal with that pops up here and there. And then we have the equity that's being built. And so your rental property has a lot of value. Now, it's not just rental property. So you can look at things, car washes. Now, of course, this is going to take a little bit more money to buy, especially in a commercial loan like this. It's going to require more money down, and so you're going to have the nugget for that. But creative deals are done every day, so there's a lot of, you don't want to just say you have to have the money and that's the only way to get it. There's owner financing. There's different types of ways to leverage it. But you have car washes. You have, I don't like the idea, but you have vending routes. So like if you had a big enough vending route, you have that. To me, that's a little bit more hands-on than I want to be at. But you have these mobile ice machines now. That's a possibility. That's a good add-on business. So that might be something good to look into if you have a brick and mortar store and you have room in the parking lot. So now you're not paying rent somewhere if that's your parking lot, right? So that's a a decent option. Storage units. Storage units are a big deal. Low overhead. Obviously, there's going to be somebody renting there to manage, but sometimes what you pay them is offset by the rent. And there's different ways of doing that. There's parking lots. So if you own some property and you can get the zoning for it, some people, a gravel parking lot or a paved parking lot can hold boats and trailers and storage vehicles, all sorts of stuff that people can rent.
Wow. And parking lots are a tricky subject too on the accounting side of things for tax benefits again. Because not only can you segregate some of the costs, but you can also depreciate some of that parking lot, possibly, if you consult with a right professional and they can do what's called a cost segregation study for you. So you can maximize your tax benefits with that as well.
Yeah, one thing we'll add here, none of this is legal advice, accounting, tax, anything like that. So this is just suggestions, things that we've either done ourselves or we know someone that has. These are just common knowledge things, but you always want to make sure, I mentioned this in most of our videos, that you have a good team. And that team should consist of people in the legal profession, the accounting profession, tax profession, insurance. A lot of people just say, well, I just have to have insurance. We deal with someone that's very beneficial to us because they look at our companies and what type of insurance do you have? Do you have the right coverage? Does it go deep enough? And sometimes then that information from an insurance broker, you might want to then hand off to your attorney and make sure they're okay with it. And then bingo. So, making money is the key, but also protecting yourself is one as well. And so always having that good team. So none of this should be taken as tax advice, legal advice, or health or whatever. Just some of the stuff that we've done. Think about, get the wheels rolling and think about what works for you. But I like the parking lot thing. I mean, maybe on the accounting thing, you have to get that cleared up. But there's a lot of, I know in my area right now, there is a storage unit facility that the storage unit facility is booked. And there's like 5 of them in the immediate area. So it's not like it's just the one in the whole area. So you have 5 of those that are booked. 2 of those have parking lots for storage, boats, trailers, campers, and those are full as well. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, because most neighborhoods, you can't keep a motorhome or a camper or a boat. Your zoning is obviously different. You live in rural areas, it's not a big deal. But if you live, I know in the mid-Atlantic region, especially here in Virginia, you're not having a boat in the front yard. No sirree. You have a day in court. Yeah, great. So anyway, these are just some of the things. Just start thinking. I want you to start thinking outside of the norm. Sometimes we get so committed to our one thing, our job. And I like the idea of the one thing, your main source of income. But I also believe that you have to diversify. And
Don't ever put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. And then we'll have other videos in the future about part of your partners, banking, for example. You definitely want a good relationship with your bank, but maybe look at having a couple of different banks that you deal with on a regular basis, kind of spread things out a little bit. That's always a benefit. But like Becky said, yeah, all your eggs in one basket it's limiting you. If you have that one thing that goes wrong, guess what? You're in trouble. And so start thinking outside the box. Get outside of your one thing to the point that once you master what you're doing, business mastery is key. Once you master that, then you can move on over to advancing into other investments, things that are passive or reoccurring. Financial advisors are great. And we deal with a few, and they're different hybrid type thing. They're not just at these big institutions and they have their, run-of-the-mill type stuff. They have custom investing instruments that really work, and they're really popular. They might not be mainstream, but they've been around for years and they're popular. So, do you have anything else to say?
I'm sure I'll
She's dumb. I put her on the spot. No, but it's really cool. Having a team, whether it's, just you or you and a partner, if you're married to your partner or whatever the deal is, whoever, it doesn't matter. Always keep that communication. Know your numbers. Keep things organized. This is key because confusion and stuff everywhere is just it's negative, right? It keeps you pretty confused. Another thing is mindset. You want to keep your mind in the right place. Try not to concentrate on the things that are going wrong or what you don't have. and start thinking about where you want to go. Put it in your mind, these incantations of your goals, where you're going to be, how set targets, right? In 2 months, 3 months from now, write it down. Here's where I want to be. Every morning when you get up, look at it. Maybe even repeat it to yourself. At the end of every day, look at it and adjust the list as necessary. But keep it front and center. Because if you don't keep that front and center, negativity is going to be front and center. Confusion, chaos, things that went wrong, somebody quit, a job came in slightly under budget, or you ran out of your main inventory and you lost some customers over it. Whatever the case may be, stuff is going to happen. And if you don't have that positive mindset and you don't have that list that you're constantly working on, then guess what? That negative stuff will be the one thing that's in your brain. That's going to be what we're thinking about. And you cannot, absolutely cannot have a negative mindset and be successful. And I'll tell you one trick, and then we're going to let this video go. One trick is if you're having a negative thought, replace it with a positive thought. Think of something funny. Think of something nice, something that warms your heart, something huge, something that you love, because it is actually impossible to have a positive thought and a negative thought at the exact same time. So on purpose, think of something good, knock that negative thought out, and concentrate. Now, I'm not saying don't deal with the negativity, don't deal with the problems. You've got to deal with it. Don't let it fester. But just don't let it run your life and don't let it rule your life. So this is it for today, unless my lovely wife Becky has something else to say.
I don't.
You don't? All right. See ya.
Bye.